Pokemon Champions is now here, and we finally know some new move buffs and nerfs for the game. The damage from Salt Cure has been cut in half, as it now inflicts 1/16 of the target's maximum HP, and if you're a water or steel type, instead of being that 25%, it's now 1/8. First Impression has been buffed from 90 base power to 100 base power, which is huge for future Mega Golisopod users. Ironhead's flinch chance has been nerfed from 30% to 20% of the time. And Moonblast no longer has a 30% chance to drop your special attack, as it's been nerfed down to 10. There's a few more to talk about, so let's get right into it. Alright, so we're going to jump right into these. I wanted to upload this yesterday, but I decided I'm going to upload a Wi-Fi battle. And I had a lot of time using Skull Villain, so check that out if you missed it. But we're going to talk about these. You let me know your thoughts down below, and if you do enjoy, feel free to subscribe. But if you don't want to, no pressure. Anyway, Garganacl. Garganacl's Salt Cure has been nerfed, and hear me out. It did win a regional, and it is oppressive with Terra in singles, but that's not why they nerfed it. But the fact that now Salt Cure only does, this is the old one, right? 1/8 max HP per turn, and then 1/4 on steel and water, and now it does 1/16 max HP per turn, meaning if you have leftovers, that you're not moving. Your HP's not moving. Your leftovers literally just keeps it stuck because it's doing the exact same damage as leftovers is healing, which is cool in a Terra metagame. Sure, in a Terastallized metagame where Garganacl can Terastallize into a water type, a fairy type, a ghost type, whatever it is, and it can be oppressive like that because you can't deal super effective damage to its rock typing, which is weak to a lot of very, very common types. Maybe understandable to nerf it. And now instead of doing 1/4 on steals, it's doing 1/8 damage. I'm telling you, when I did this to when I did this in the game itself, it was just doing no damage. It's just crazy, the big difference in it. And I don't think it was fair to do it right now because, again, it's not a Terastallized metagame. And the reason I'm saying that is because in VGC, in Pokemon Champions, the most common Pokemon right now are Garchomp, Kingambit, Sneasler, Sinistcha, right? Those are in the top 5 most used. Obviously, Incineroar's up there too, but that doesn't really count in this case. And all those Pokemon, as well as Pokemon like Archaludon, Basculegion, just Rain with Pelipper, they can all deal with a Garganacl in 1 or 2 hits, and it's not able to Terastallize into a Ghost type, into a Water type, to be more oppressive, to recover, Salt Cure, Protect. It runs the same set in singles as in doubles, and then it runs Wide Guard. If you're playing in VGC, if you're playing in OU, it's running something like Stealth Rock and stuff. I just think it was a little early to nerf this move. I understand why they did it, and I think they could have done it while Terra is available in Pokemon Champions, but right now we're in this low-powered metagame, and they really gutted Garganacl, but let me know your thoughts on that. And then we have Sneasler. Now, this is a change that needed to happen. Sneasler's Dire Claw, instead of having a 50% chance to leave the target poisoned, paralyzed, or asleep, it is now a 30% chance. Now, I'm going to tell you straight up on my experience using Sneasler and fighting Sneasler. I mean, thank you, right? Thank you for doing this, Pokemon. But I feel like it just hurts worse now that it's 30% to get all this, right? It's still happening. My mons are falling asleep. They're getting paralyzed. They're getting poisoned. But at least the chance is lower. I think this is a plus for it. Sneasler is extremely oppressive in VGC. It's extremely... I mean, we have it banned in the OU tier because with Terra and Unburden, it was disgusting. I could definitely see this thing coming back, though, in a non-Terra metagame. When Pokemon Champions OU comes out, which might be by the time this video goes up, tomorrow or the weekend. I think it comes out tomorrow, though, if I'm not mistaken. But when that comes out, Sneasler's most likely being allowed in the metagame. I'm part of the council, so I can tell you that. I'm pretty sure we didn't ban this one straight up because there's no Terra to let it abuse it, but we'll see if that ends up staying. But Dire Claw being changed is a good thing. It is a positive, it is a net positive for it. That random chance is just disgusting, and the fact that you can't do anything about it. There's not even a covert cloak in Pokemon Champions. Yeah, this is a big one. Now, I put Ariados here, and some of the Pokemon I put here are not even in Pokemon Champions. I just use them for the moves to just describe them. They're the mons I think about when I think about these moves. So, Ariados' Toxic Thread got buffed. It now lowers speed by 2 stages instead of 1. Now, this is Ariados. Ariados is not really the greatest Pokemon ever, but my thumbnail for it was one of the greatest thumbnails ever. Like, look at this. I had to just show you the thumbnail. Look at this thumbnail. Ariados Sniper. Oh, get out. Look at it. It's an Ariados holding a sniper. Like, how could you hate that? Ariados is so cool. I've loved it since the second Pokemon, or not the second Pokemon movie, but since Pokemon Heroes, which is my favorite Pokemon movie. I love Latios and Latios. Now, Toxic Thread is a cool move. I'm assuming this will be something for, they're like prepping for a different Pokemon get it, because Ariados is in the game, but it's not really a Pokemon that's going to be used too much in Pokemon Champions, but maybe there's a future Pokemon they're giving this to, maybe a Scolipede, even though it's a thread, and Scolipede doesn't really produce thread, but maybe this is for a future Pokemon that they plan on adding it to to allow it to make a bit more use. I think the buff is cool. I just don't think it really affects anything crazy right now, but -2 speed plus the ability to poison you is really, really nice. Like how Smeargle sometimes runs Silk Trap, which is Spot Ops' thing, and it lowers your speed when you hit contact on it. This could be really cool too. Now, Crabhammer got a little buff, a slight little buff, and I got to think about Mr. Crawl, right? Crawdon right here. Now, Crabhammer went from 90 accuracy to 95. This is a blessing, right? Crawdon with Choice Band and OU on rain or not on rain, doesn't matter. Adaptability, it is one of the hardest hitters out there. So being able to go for a more accurate move. Some people go back and forth between Crabhammer and Liquidation, but look at the difference in power, right? 85 versus 100. That is a huge difference. But the biggest thing is that you have that 100% accuracy, so there's reliability there. You can trust Liquidation. It's built trust with you, whereas Crabhammer will, you know, take your heart and stomp on it. But now it is 95% accurate. So now when it takes your heart and stomps on it, you just didn't see it coming as often. I think it's a pretty good buff. I think moves like this. Okay, can I be real? I actually hate 95% accurate moves. It's just like, just give it 100. Like, just give it 100. It's okay. Just give me 100. All right, make it 100 at that point. What do you mean 5% of the time I'm going to lose, but I'm going to miss this most of the time? And the reason that feels like it happens is because you use the attacks most of the time. But nice buff for that. I put low kicks here, but this is definitely for Mega Golisopod. But first impression has been buffed from 90 base power to 100. Hell yeah. I know if you play singles and you love low kicks like I do, this is my favorite Pokemon from Scarlet and Violet, besides Palafin. I love the powerful Pokemon, but priority. And also the first shiny I walked into in SV. But first impression, obviously being boosted is sick. 100 base power is beautiful. It's going to be a little bit difficult to kind of fire these off in VGC because of protect turns and stuff like that. But in singles, Terra low kicks is insane. It just U-turns around with a choice band, clicks first impression, U-turns around, picks it off. Obviously, that's in a Terra metagame. That is in a singles metagame. But just Mega Golisopod having an even stronger one, just being 100-100, I think is a nice buff. I'm truly hoping that they're not, okay, we'll give you a bone. We'll make its first impression 100, but we're still going to give it emergency exit, but we're just going to talk a tactical retreat. Shout out to Moxie Boosted. But we're just going to make it where it intelligently gets out of there when it's at 50. Just get rid of that ability, please, please. Okay, this is a weird one. Bone Rush was buffed from 25 base power to a 30 base power. I mean, that's a big difference because if you hit 5 times, that's strong as hell. But the 3 Pokemon with Bone Rush off the top of my head are Mandibuzz, all forms of Marowak, and all forms of Lucario. None of those are ground types besides Marowak. And Marowak isn't necessarily the most oppressive Pokemon in terms of, at least regular Marowak. Alola Marowak is pretty cool in the Trick Room, but Alola Marowak I don't think is in the game. And even if it was in the game, there's no Fit Club in the game, I'm pretty positive. They have an Oranberry though, so make sure you use that. Really cool for Alola Marowak. Also, I guess this is still really, really, really cool for Marowak too, because I mean, if it's 30, 30, 30, I don't know. There's like 2 to 3 times has the same chance of hitting, and then 4 to 5 times has like the same. And I just think it might be better for Earthquake. But obviously, if you hit all of them, or if something with skill link eventually gets this, I'm sure they're just future prepping when it comes to this move. It could be nasty, but 30 is really good, right? Obviously get 5. But you can't run like loaded dice on you tried on Mandibuzz. You can't run loaded dice on Marowak though. You need the Fit Club. That's the whole reason why, that's its whole shtick, literally. King Gambit. I put King Gambit here because Ironhead, just like Waterfall and Dark Pulse, now has a 20% chance of the flinch. They said too many games have been won by King Gambit under Trick Room. That's literally what they said. Too many games have been won. Where was this when I was playing DPP OU? Okay, with Jirachi. Where is this now in current DPP OU, Generation 4 OU? But, sorry, I'm just in a chill mood right now. This is just going to be a fun video where we're talking about, I mean, I'm giving you the buzz, but I'm just going to be whatever I want to be right now. Yeah, 20% chance of flinch. Yeah, that's fine. Ironhead is obviously annoying. Gambit is not typically, unless it's under Trick Room, not typically outspeeding the Pokemon. It's just tanking the hit and doing the big damage, whether it be Supreme Overlord in 6v6 singles, or, and I'm saying that because we are going to get Champions OU real soon, so that'll be 6v6 on Pokemon Showdown, which is where we're at. For those that don't know what this is Pokemon Showdown. It's a site where you can basically build Pokemon easily and then battle with them easily. Like you see, people are battling right here. Or you can play random battles where you don't even need a team and you can find a game and do things like that. It's amazing. Anyway, Ironhead, 20% chance. I think it's a net positive as well. removing luck is pretty cool. Speaking of removing luck, let's go to some actual luck. So Night Daze, as you see right here, it's 85 plus 95 accuracy and a 40% chance to flinch the opponent. But now Night Daze is 90 base power. They said, I'm going to make Zoroark just slightly stronger. These 5 base power increases are most likely the difference between like 2 KOs on some calcs on certain Pokemon, right? I assume, let me actually calc something real quick. Yeah, so just to show you, like Red and Light Daze, I'm just putting Zoroark into a Venusaur, right? Like 5% is a big difference when it comes to damage. 43 to 51% with base 85. Then when you make it base 90, you're doing 46 to 54. You go from a 9% chance to a KO to a 60% chance to a KO. And that's not even counting like a boosted item. It says Choice Specs here, but I don't have the Choice Specs on it. I have Cameruptite on that Pokemon. So nice little buff for Zoroark. I like the Pokemon that don't really see too much usage when they get buffs. Speaking of buffs and nerfs, Moonblast. Moonblast is one of the most broken moves in the game. 95 base power, 100% accuracy, high PP, and a 30% chance to lower the target's special attack by 1. Not anymore. In Pokemon Champions, they have lowered that 30% chance to 10%. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, especially because Mega Floette Eternal is Xerneas. I can't even say Xerneas Light, because it's Xerneas-like, not even Xerneas Light, because that Pokemon with Fairy Aura hits incredibly hard. But I know I've personally have been messed up by the 30% chance of Moonblast dropping. I know others as well. And I've also won games because I've dropped special attack with Moonblast. Fairy types are incredible, and they really don't have to think when clicking this broken move. So this being nerfed is, again, a net positive. The Decidueye Spirit Shackle has been buffed from 80 base power to 90 base power. Good for you. Good for you. I hope more Pokemon get this move. It's a good move that can trap, and it being 90 base power actually, matches up with the Leaf Blade and things like that too. Typically a choice band Decidueye in singles would run things like Poltergeist, which is 110 base power, and Spirit Shackle being, 80 is but now it being 90 is cool too, making choice band and setup sets that much better, even better in draft. I love that Trop Kick has been buffed as well from 70 base power to 85. This is a huge increase, a 15 increase. And obviously Trop Kick still lowers your attack 100% by 1. I like Serena too, because Serena stops priority, so it's really cool into things like King Gambit and stuff like that when you're playing in VGC. There's only like 2 Pokemon that are in the, I don't think Burst is in the game, but it's Serena and Farigiraf that have obviously the Queenly Majesty and the Armor Tail that can stop priority from Pokemon like Extreme Speed Dragonite and King Gambit Sucker Punch, and actually threatens both of them with Triple Axle and a fighting type attack. So I think this is a nice buff for a Pokemon that has 120 attack, and even making it even better at its spinner and just being able to spam its best move, 100% accurate move, without even having to worry too much about that. Fire Lash is now 90 base power. Awesome. It's on Heatmore though and Salazzle. This needs to go on more Pokemon that can do some more damage. I don't think they gave it to Emboar, but considering Emboar's overall bulk and the ability to run bulk up plus Drain Punch, I think Fire Lash would be a pretty cool move to give it, considering it's 90 base power. Doesn't really have like claws, I guess, but still. Maybe it did end up learning. Correct me if I'm wrong. I'd be very happy to learn otherwise. Snap Trap, which is Galarian Stunfist's signature move, which basically traps and damages the opponent for 4 to 5 turns, went from being a grass type move to a steel type move. So I think that's pretty cool. It's just stab now. I mean, it makes sense considering it's on a ground steel type. That doesn't actually make its base power any better, nor does that make Snap Trap that incredible move. But the fact that it's stab, so it gets slightly stronger, is nice. That needs to be on more Pokemon too, so they can do trapping shenanigans. So buffing Flapple and Appleton I think is really nice. So what they ended up doing was Gravepple's 80 base power, it's now 90 base power, which is disgusting because it's also still boosted by 1.5 in gravity. So I like that. Is this going to make me use Flapple in VGC? Probably not, but I've definitely used it in draft and I've enjoyed it a lot. And Appleton, Apple Acid did the exact same thing. They ended up giving it 90. I like when they give these niche Pokemon buffs in an attempt to, get people to use them. Unfortunately, you're fighting like Pokemon like Sneasler and Mega Dragonite and stuff, throwing off Hurricanes and Dire Claws, so they're not really going to be used. Speaking of, niche moves being buffed, Beak Blast went from 100 base power to 120. Good. If I have to take damage and it has to be contact for this to work, and I have to use Toucannon, which is really cool. We had a really good Toucannon video not too long ago on the channel if you want to search that up. This Pokemon with Assault Vest did a lot of work. Beak Blast being 120 base power is a positive buff. Again, they actually went back and buffed a lot of these signature moves, like Size Shield Bash, which was previously 70 base power, is now 90 base power. Actually good because it's making use of that Zen Headbutt even better. Excuse me, of that 105 attack that I don't have to use Zen Headbutt, right? Like, why are you strong, weaker? Why is your signature move weaker than Zen Headbutt? So giving that is a nice positive buff. Same thing with Mountain Gale. Mountain Gale went from 100 to 120. Now, it still has a 30% chance to flinch. You're probably not flinching much with this Pokemon. Maybe on a Trick Room, you try it. But it being 120, coming off that 127 base attack, this is actually going to be doing some real damage. And then the last move buff I want to talk about here is that Typhlosion's Infernal Parade, which is 60 base power, and then obviously has a 30% chance to burn 2 times your opponent's status. And then you want to compare it to Hex. Hex is 65 base power, right? Basically, they made it 65 base power. So now it matches Hex. So a lot of positive buffs overall. And I think the nerfs, at least when it comes to Sneasler, is a good nerf. Leech Seed was also apparently not nerfed. I think that was a text issue that they were showing because it was still doing the regular damage. But yeah, I like most of these, if not all of them. I think they all make sense. I'm hoping that the ones like regular Bone Rush and then Toxic Thread being buffed and things like that mean that other Pokemon are going to be getting those moves too, because there's some pretty cool ones. Garg being nerfed, again, I think it makes sense in the context of a different metagame, but like in this metagame, I feel like, nah, it might have been better to keep this homie Salkir good. But let me know your thoughts down below. And obviously we already talked about Shadow Claw and Dragon Claw now classified as slicing moves, but we talked about that a long time ago. I think they're just future-proofing a lot of moves and just getting them ready. I'm very excited about the first impression, and I hope Golisopod, Mega Golisopod, when we can eventually use it, is good. But yeah, let me know your thoughts. I'll see you on the next one. Peace.